Well, Matt, new season. I guess we start off with any injuries. You and I have spoken about Ruel. Is there an update on him and anyone else?
Royal's close, yet to be decided if he'll feature this weekend. He's done a bit of training. We need to get a few more numbers under his belt. If he does feature, it'll be in a really small part and limited minutes. But if he doesn't feature this weekend, then he's got a real chance for Tuesday and obviously the following weekend. So he's very close. We'll probably wait till the last minute to make a decision on that one. Unfortunately, Jack Hunt picked up a hamstring strain on the back of some post-game running last weekend, which is a strange one, a new one for a manager. But that's just unfortunate. Not out for a long period of time, but just rules him out for this weekend.
Obviously, last weekend we spoke about how you assess pre-season. We spoke about injuries and how relatively few, and you're pleased with that. But as almost a week's gone by, how do you fully reflect on pre-season now the dust has maybe settled a bit more? How happy are you with tactical understanding, especially with new players, and where the squad really are at going into Saturday?
Look, you always want it to be dead on the dot and perfect going into the first game of the season. It's unrealistic to expect that, especially with the changes we had in the off-season and throughout pre-season as well. The big thing which we touched upon was the availability of the group, the fitness of the group, the intent of the group, which I'm pleased with all of those aspects. Now we've got to put it into a real game scenario, not a pre-season game where it's I've always said a different style of football, a different type of football than what our bread and butter is. But also then an understanding that as much as we'll reflect on the previous 5.5 weeks, this week has been about building into the league campaign and getting the boys ready for Northampton and what a test it will be. But also, the fact that it's a privilege to walk out in front of hopefully a full house this weekend on TV, good game of football, good opposition. And if they're on the pitch, then they've earned the right to be there. And they need to find a way to enjoy it despite probably a little bit of pressure coming into it.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the TV stuff actually with a 5:30 kickoff. Does that change anything for you?
Yeah, we're just having a joke in there. I don't think I've ever kicked off at 5:30 previously. That's a timeline for Championship football or Premier League football, other levels of football. So getting the balance right on that Saturday. A lot of dead time for going into your first league game, even your debut, your first outing of the season in this capacity isn't good for the mind. So we'll get them in like mid-afternoon for some pre-match, but before that it's their own time where, I don't know, family time, walk with the kids. I just don't want them sat in a hotel room or sat at home, biting down on the jaw, getting ready for a game. They've got to let it out at the right time. So, all the things we'll face this season in terms of kick-off times, etc., will be new. A bit like our team, really, a little bit of unknown.
And how difficult is it to fully get an idea of what to expect from an opponent when you're going into an opening day? Obviously, I guess you only use pre-season as footage, I guess.
Yeah, pre-season. A little bit previous. Obviously, the manager's not changed. Some of the personnel within that. But yeah, pre-season footage, so I can just use that word there, unknown. Probably a little bit of unknown from ourselves as to what to expect, and certainly in the opposition in the first few games of the season. So you try and get patterns and trends, but as much as we possibly can, we'll focus on our principles as opposed to the opposition. Make them aware of certain dangers and certain moments in the game and certain personnel, but just get them to concentrate on what we're good at. Hopefully, if they can implement that, we'll have a good chance of winning the game of football.
It's not been announced yet, but when this goes out, I think it will be. Scott Sinclair has been named club captain. Just talk us through what made your mind up to make that decision.
Seniority, leadership, professionalism sets a standard every single day. So humble despite what he's achieved in his career. His performances in pre-season and the second half of last season, how he stuck to task even when he wasn't in the team when I first came into the football club, and how he just made himself fit, ready and available. Just set a fantastic example for a lot of our young players at this football club, and he deserves it. And like I say, he's had a good pre-season as well, some fantastic finishes, been involved in a lot of good attacking moments. So he was my first protocol. I was delighted he accepted it because he's not naturally a loud character. Some captains are, but he'll lead in a certain way, and then a leadership group, a senior group will certainly follow suit.
Yeah, I was going to ask about whether there'll be a leadership group. Obviously Scott will be wearing the armband on the pitch, but do you feel as though you've got enough figures in your squad to kind of make up a subgroup, I guess, a seniority group?
Yeah, you always want more, of course you do. And it's one thing, an area of the pitch we targeted in terms of our recruitment. It didn't quite materialise in terms of bringing the natural captains into the football club, but we brought in good people. And then so you're looking at Scotty and Chrissy and Willow. I know Chrissy's suspended this weekend. Jamie Lindsay when he's fully fit and firing. People who've been there and done it. and not to underestimate how sometimes some of the younger ones, maybe the ones who you don't look as natural leaders. Josh Griffiths has been promoted. He's had serious experience at good levels. Clinton Mola, Captain Redding. So, you know, you're asking them to stand up and be counted for each of us benefit a little bit more, because when that whistle goes, we're all powerless on the touchline, on the sidelines, and we want to help them as much as we possibly can. So if we can get them to help each other first and foremost, and find a rhythm and understanding of, not authority, of personality on the pitch, that will certainly help us.
What reflects a successful season? Obviously, fans will be going into this campaign full of hope, as they always are ahead of the opening day. But what constitutes success for where the football club is at this season?
Progression, improvement. Can we start to move towards the top half of this league? Something not been achieved for such a long time. I think it's 25 years since we finished above 10th in League One. We want to be competitive week in, week out. The league's incredible this season. It really is. I think there's ex-Premier League teams and then countless other teams with incredible strength and resources in different ways, and we're just happy to be part of it. But we really want to make not a statement in any way, but you know, get an identity of this football team out and show for our fans more than anyone else, and then build on that, build on a positive platform which we seem to have right now. But there's been no results to go off as of yet, bar the friendlies. So we're building towards something with so many new players and so many young players. Well, it will take time, and there'll be some inconsistencies in there. But I'm sure there's excitement about what we might be able to achieve further down the line.
Obviously, a good amount of our conversations towards the back end of last season all kind of pointed towards what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And obviously that change has now happened. Does it almost feel in a way that this is, I don't know, this is the start of your Bristol Rovers tenure as manager in a way, now that you've kind of got that change, you've got that coaching staff in place and you can really kick on?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it stays settled, which it never does in football, and certainly not at Bristol Rovers, but that's certainly something we're aiming for. Yeah, consistency, the rhythm. There are big plans at this football club. Everyone knows the stadium plans have started to come and been shown already. There's just plans for the training ground. So there's various aspects of the club which will continue to grow, and I think the team on the pitch is like that. But the team on the pitch doesn't get as much time because we're judged, you know, not 3 o'clock Saturday, come 5:30 on Saturday, we'll be getting judged. I'll be getting judged, the players will be getting judged, our recruitment will be getting judged, how we set up the team, players' performances in the hardest possible environment and circumstances. But that's what we do, that's our job. Like I say, this group has got to find a way of enjoying it, pressure and expectation, and finding ways of showing what they're capable, regardless of anything else which surrounds them. Like I say, it's a good game for us in terms of a home game to start off with, and then we've got some incredible away fixtures to look forward to. But I can guarantee one thing, that the fans will be in good voice, as they always are at the start, and we've got to keep them in that good place for as long as we possibly can.
You mentioned recruitment there, just come on to that lastly. What can we expect in terms of the last couple of weeks in terms of that? Because obviously a good chunk has already happened, but what can fans expect between the last couple of weeks?
Well, more work, I suppose, but we're not finished yet. Both sides of it, players coming in, players going out. I think there's still work to be done. There's areas in the squad to strengthen. And as always, in terms of a window, it comes to an end, and it's quite an abrupt end and an exciting one and a dramatic one. But we've done so much work previous to the next few weeks, if that makes sense. So the next few weeks will hopefully be a little bit more relaxed, but we are still in the market and still looking to do business. We don't quite know what that looks like and when it will come, but behind the scenes, as it has been throughout the course of pre-season, the off-season work is really going on to strengthen this squad.